and waste themselves. We must be tactical and be strategic in our approach. To that respect, training is ongoing. Even as the mission is ongoing, we're having training both on the ground and outside the mission area to ensure that every weapon we have is properly applied and used to get the required result of curtailing these terrorists.
Thank you very much, Major General. Let's come back to the studio, and I'll start with you, Reverend Ladi Thompson. When you hear what the Director of Defense Information has just said, in terms of how the insurgents have chosen to fight this battle, do you think we have done well? What's your assessment of 2014?
Well, if we want to put it in the right place, I feel very much for Chris Olukolade. I feel very much for him because this is a soldier who is trained, he works within a system. Now, if the truth be told, I would not bring it to be his fault. They are commanding many young men. Most of the boys who are in the front are boys in their early 20s, their mid-20s, and all that. Now, there's a challenge, and I think what we really have is a policy challenge. It's not the fault of the army. The challenge that Nigeria has right now is that we cannot look at 2014 in isolation. This problem has been brewing for the past 16, 17, 18 years. In a normal country, we will have cited it long ago. And secondly, when we look at that, we must know that there's a difference between keeping the peace, as one of my friends says regularly, and making the peace. The policies that people like Chris Olukolade are asked to come and defend are policies that are targeted at keeping the peace as opposed to making the peace. You see, this puts people like him at a very terrible disadvantage. In the first place, when we look at what we call global terrorism today, its modus operandi and the way it is executed. Look, the solution to this thing, normally, the military solution is between 14 to 18% maximum. And even then, when we talk about the military solution, this is not something that is supposed to be on the shoulders of the Nigerian army. What we're doing is very, very wrong. We have said this a long time ago, we've said it again and again, that if we had a proper command structure in the security services of Nigeria, a special body ought to have been created long ago. From the moment we diagnose that the challenge that we're having is something that is, the symptoms are so clear. This is a global challenge. It has a pattern. It has a way, there's a way you can track it. There's a way you can handle it. You're not going to come and reinvent the wheel for it. For instance, you don't look at a surgeon who's going to go to an operating table with a machete when what he needs really is a scalpel. I feel for the Nigerian army. I feel for the young boys whose lives are being put at risk unnecessarily. And what he cannot even talk about is the fact that, let's look at the logistics of weapons and all that, preparedness. Who is looking at the global community and looking at the fact that the amount of lobbying that Nigeria is supposed to be doing, it has not done? Its presentation on the international level, at best, is shambolic. So when it comes to arms, why is the purchase of ammunition being blocked? On what basis is it being blocked? Why does Nigeria have to buy arms surreptitiously? Because we're looking at the future, the next generation. So if we look at them all in all and listen to what they have to say, I feel very sorry for the Nigerian army. I feel for them. They are professional, they are good, but this was never really their war from the beginning.
Okay. Mr. Okulano, you heard what Pastor Ladi said and what the Director of Information said. Would you agree that, yes, the army, the security agents, they've been able to do their best?
Well, like Reverend Ladi said, this issue is beyond army alone. It's quite unfortunate that we allow this thing to degenerate to this level. And this year, 2014, has been a very challenging year. If you look at it from January 12, the first suicide bombing, which of course claimed 50 lives and 30 lives and 50 injured. Then on the 26th of January also, another one like that. And every month since January this year, you definitely record at least a minimum of 2 incidents of terrorism in Nigeria. And it keeps happening every day. My question is that even if you are talking about why is it that we always wait to happen before we we start moving up and down, it means something is wrong with our intelligence. And part of what Reverend Laddie said the other time, it's even beyond issue of weapon. At a point, one of the diplomats who came to Nigeria said Nigerians were just looking for something like armor to just eat everything and everything go just like that. At a point, we don't even have any clear war plan on how we are going to do this. And it's quite beyond issue of army alone. We have to deploy all the full factors of counterterrorism, which are coming from diplomacy, intelligence gathering, law enforcement, keeping all the finances of those away from them, and at the same time ensure that we take all the bad weapons from all these people. We have not been able to do that. And up to this time we are talking, well, this is the first time compared to 2013 that we are going to have a Christmas. I just joked with Saladi that, okay, this is the first time we are going to have a kind of Christmas without bombing, without any suicide bombing and everything, because since the beginning of the year, it seems like Major General Chris Olukolade said, the terrorists, they've defined the system, the tactics of using imam bombs, because they discovered that, okay, to penetrate has been very difficult. So they changed their tactics, since January. And if you look at every month since January, they have been using imam bomb, which of course suicide bomber, doing all this kind of thing. So it has been a kind of challenging year, for Nigeria, and it's important that we have to look at that, because when things happen, we don't just look at event that happened, we look at what it means for Nigeria. It means something is wrong, and we have to fix that before 2015, which of course in the next 6 months, we have a lot of work to do. There's going to be election by January and by February, and a lot of things we see happen. So even without the fact that we don't even have any bombing, like Reverend Laddie said this morning, it means something. We have to look at the implication of that and what that have been pretend for the next 6 months.
Let me go straight back to Major General Chris Olukolade. Sir, based on what Dari and Reverend Thompson just said now, there are two things that comes to mind. In America, when they had 9/11, they came up with the idea of homeland security. And it was obvious that they had a special force that had to fight this battle against terrorism. In the United Kingdom, they had counterterrorism units that was working on any kind of insurgency, any kind of investigation, gathering intelligence to preempt and to also nip this in the bud. Going forward, are we expecting to see any such unit created in Nigeria beyond the Nigeria Information Center, which has been giving us some amount of information on what is happening, but not enough in terms of depth of intelligence and unit being put as a structure to fight this insurgency?
Well, I must say that one is impressed by the level of understanding expressed by the gentleman there. And as for a special body to manage the issue of terrorism, what I can see as happening in that direction is that maybe this challenge itself has brought us closer together. I mean, the various security agencies, the coordination has really improved, both on the field and in the area of intelligence gathering. That is one improvement in that direction that perhaps is a good development. As for the creation of special bodies for this, you will agree with me that this is still at strategic level. The details are being worked out, and some of it are even in operation already. We have special forces there on ground that are participating in this mission. We have various forms of specialized training that are meant to address terrorism. As I mentioned in the course of this discussion, that the ongoing mission is not just targeting at mobilizing weapons. We are also working on training both in the mission area and outside the mission area. All our training institutions are beginning to focus their training to consider the issue of terrorism, and that has worked a lot for us. By the way, we have been facing this insurgency for over a year or two now, and it has only shaped our tactics and strategic approaches to the matter. So to that extent, the issues raised about whether we're ready or not is being tackled to ensure that our readiness status is incrementally improved, both to cope with the situation and to prepare for the future. That's perhaps one thing we've learned from this situation.
I was hoping to hear a precise set of words stating that in 2014 we will get